Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I am feeling it once again. I haven't walked for a couple days and it just was hard to get out of bed today, hard to get moving into my groove today. But welcome to Leading in with Ann. This is a live walk and talk that I do every morning. I just come to this park and I walk around and I talk about what's going on in my brain, things God has kind of put in my heart to speak about, and we just get things unraveled. I know a lot of people have done a lot of self development and they've read a lot of books and taken courses and things, and yet the application in their life is what's hard, making it work in their life. And so, what we do here at the Walk and Talk is we kind of sort through some of that stuff and get things chewed apart and figured out. So, I'm Ann Ferguson. I am an author. I am passionate about helping people feel, know how to access feelings, how to let those feelings be present, how to experience life and become wholehearted. That's my passion. So here I am in this walk and talk, trying to help you and me figure God out. Today, our talk is all about your opinion and your voice and having an opinion and how to express that opinion in a really safe way that is good for everyone. So, a little backstory. I wasn't seen or heard very often. I was supported in what I was doing, meaning I was driven to my dance classes. I was expected to just get things right and do things fabulously. I was an A student. My brothers had Fs all the time. If they got an A, they got to go skiing. Got a day off for every A, so they'd pull an A in PE. And I would get A's, and it was just expected. So, of course. So I didn't actually get anything good, no celebration. Heartache was not spoken. Fear was not spoken. My opinion was not valid, either because I was a girl or because I was younger than the brothers. And my oldest brother has very strong opinions. So I learned that to keep the peace, especially if he was explosive at the time, you don't share your opinion or your thoughts about anything. And that's just the best way to do it. So I always deferred to other people's opinions. And, what's good, what's right, what should I know? It was always somebody else's stuff. And I'm really, really good at conforming. I'm also a rebel, but in my younger years, I was very, very good at conforming to authority or someone who was smarter or knew more than me. I'm always curious, so it was always a learning thing. So I had a narcissistic father, and you could have an opinion. He wasn't like the angry, he was a covert narcissist. That's very different than the angry or really controlling, outwardly do as I say. He wasn't like that. But if you had an opinion that was different than his, he would feel hurt. And you made him feel bad and wrong and condemned. And so to share your feelings or your opinions hurt somebody. That's what I learned. That is the bigger one that I learned, is that my opinion, if I wasn't in agreement, then I was hurting someone. I just needed to support. Like that was my role. So then I get married. And good man and not. He was very opinionated and charismatic and had all of the, I don't know, he had more life experience than I. He grew up overseas because he was a diplomat brat, and I was just a little Salt Lake girl. So his opinion mattered. My opinion did not. I was always seeking what he thought as my opinion. Well, that fired on me big time. And when his opinions got distorted about right and wrong, when I said, no, this is not right, that was really, really awkward for him because I had been so agreeable. Like I changed the dance, right? Well, this one day when I realized how deep it had gotten, I had decided that I just needed to do something creative to move forward. I had this little teeny tiny townhouse, and I decided I was going to paint the kitchen. I was going to make the kitchen cute. Our kitchen had two different types of cabinets, different colors. It was all piecemeal together, and it was ugly. And I go to my friends, and their house is like all decorated and cute. I want it decorated and cute. So I found Americana plates at a yard sale. It was the best deal ever. I got so many plates and for almost nothing, and I had the money and I bought them, and but that's what I'll do. I'll do Americana. So I went to go get some paint. I didn't know how to paint. I'd never painted before. Nobody taught me. But I was going to do it. Well, now our cabinets did not have any door pulls at all. So I'm standing in front of this board at Home Depot with all of these door pulls. I am just staring at them all, and my mind, I start swirling in my head. And I start getting confused. And I watch myself kind of back away from that board. And I stopped. And I go, what's happening right now? Like I was like shutting down, like literally my thoughts, my body, power down. And I finally kind of shook my head and I said, all right, if there was no, and what I realized is I was hearing his voice in my head, my ex's, saying, well, that's stupid. You shouldn't like that. No, this is it. And I was trying to figure out which one was acceptable, appropriate, okay. And I shook my head and go, no, stop. If there was no one by the name of, I said my ex's name, what door pull would I like? I sat there and I decided on what I liked. And I went, holy cow. I don't even know what my opinion is anymore. Like I've made other people's opinions be so strong that I don't even know what I would love. Wow. It was a big deal. So I find that when I get stressed, I default back into letting other people have opinions or lead. And I'm also finding that is not a good way to be a boss. That for me to connect into what I would love and be completely happy with just the fact that it's what I love. No one has to agree with me for it to be what I love and the way that I would love it to go down. And it's not that I don't want to have some input, but I would love for what I would love to be honored. And first, I've got to honor it for me. So when we do this, let's check in on your day. And I say, what would you love to feel? That's really vitally important, guys. For you to say and have permission. I have permission to feel about this whatever I would love to feel. Oh, I have permission to enjoy something that other people may not enjoy. I have permission to have taste and style and affinity towards. I have permission. I know that sounds really strange, but when you've been raised with a lot of mm, a lot of shutdown or dismissal, it is really hard. Guess what? I like these gloves. I didn't have to have anybody tell me that I like those gloves. I know that's silly, but even me and my sister, we shared clothes. And so we collaborated about whether or not it was okay or not. I'm not really big into pop culture. I don't listen to the radio much. My opinions, my likes, my tastes are very different in some ways than the world's. And I've had to come to, and that's totally okay. And I would love it. I know that this is prevalent. I know that it's not just me. I've gotten pretty good at it at this point. I flew out to Virginia to do a workshop. about a year and a half ago. And I had an assistant who came with me, one of my dear, dear friends. And it was interesting to watch. We'd get to a restaurant and I'd say, okay, so what are you going to have? And she'd sit there and just, uh, uh, what we realized is that her husband ordered for her and she didn't feel like she had permission to order what she wanted. She said, well, what are you going to have? What? This is what I'm going to have. What about you? And it was interesting when we discovered it. She says, I would say, well, what about we have this? And he goes, no, let's just do this. And then he'd order. And she just learned not to have a voice. She just learned not to have an opinion. And we were together for 2 weeks. And oh gosh, she finally learned how to order what she wanted. Kind of came back a changed woman after 2 weeks, getting to have her own opinion. And knowing that you don't have to have anyone's approval for it to be true, that is what you feel and think. It is so great. So here's a question for you. What if someone asks your opinion, they hear your opinion, and they choose something else? Have you had that happen? Like over and over and over again? Like, why even share because your opinion isn't valued and doesn't matter? Is that a thing? So I heard something really, really interesting once. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I had a brother-in-law who worked at one point for the church. He was an organizational behavior specialist, and it was like the administrative type stuff, the teams of people and that. And I remember him saying, it was really, really interesting what would happen. They needed people who were driven, people who were professional, motivated, had ideas to lead teams and all of that. And so there would be an idea, they would run with it. Well, in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, there is, I guess you might want to call it a board. There's the prophet, there's 12 apostles that sit with him, and you'd have time with the brethren to explain what the project was and what had been done. And then there would be a consideration and a possibility of them saying, no, nope, that's not it. And it could be that the project was like 2 years in. As my brother-in-law said, what was really interesting is that they had a hard time finding people who were driven, but who also had the ability to not be hurt if the brethren had said no. And I can see that because there's a certain level of confidence that you must have in order to keep yourself moving forward, but a certain amount of humility. In this case, the thought is that there is a certain amount of spiritual intuition that needs to happen. And there's not a lot of explanation. There was just a no. And it could be that 3 years later, they said, hey, that project, it's now time. And so everything that was laid out 3 years ago is ready to go, and it's ready to go now and fast. But I thought that was really interesting. And it's made me think about other leadership positions, offering my opinion, offering my voice, my insight. And can that be turned down without me feeling like it wasn't supposed to happen? So really, really interesting, right? What happens when you have an opinion when, like I said, it's shot down? That's a little bit different than never being heard and just being dismissed and having an opinion. What do you do about that? Because I lived that for a long time. I found actually on some things I had opinions, but I knew it wouldn't fly, so I'd be kind of covert and I do things silently anyway. Because you lose sense of self when you don't honor what you feel and love and are excited about. And you know what I found? That is one of the biggest reasons why people don't dream. Is because they forgot that it's okay for them to have dreams. And it's okay for them to have things that they would love to be a part of and do. So want you to today think about your opinion. I love the book that Dr. Seuss has, Would You Rather Be a Bullfrog? If you have not seen that lately, look it up and then ask yourself the questions. Would I rather be a bullfrog? Or I don't remember what it was, or a fish. Would you rather have blue or red? Would you rather climb up or down? Like, it was just all about your opinion and making it right. I'm going to end with this. I know that you cannot really be an active participant in collaboration with other people if you don't know what you would like in your opinion. One of my very, very favorite leadership styles is Captain Jean-Luc Picard. There would be a problem presented, and he would say, Data. And Data would tell him all he knew. He'd say, number one. Number one would say all he would know. Deanna Troy would say all the things that she would do. This really dates me because I used to watch Next Generation all the time. And then once he had worked, that's the protective side. What is your opinion? And he would take in all of those things. And then he would consider and he'd say, this is what I wanted to do. Make it so. And he would still bring in that collaboration. And yet they all honored him as the captain to make the things happen. And they would do, even if he didn't take on their thought or their recommendation, they honored that they were heard, that it was weighed in. And then they did what the captain felt was appropriate. I love that so much. So the first thing is that you've got to know what you would love. So today, your practice is to have an opinion. What TV show do you want to watch? What music do you want to listen to? What would you love? No one has to acknowledge that opinion as valid but you. This is what I love. This is what I like. This is what I want. This is what I want to eat. And when somebody says to you, what do you think? Take a deep breath, get brave. What I think about this situation is, and no one has to validate that it is what you feel because you've already validated it. You know what that does? Makes it so you don't get all upset and hurt that nobody hears you. If you say to yourself, nobody hears you, it's because you don't hear yourself. You don't give yourself permission to say, I really like this. It's totally okay that I like this. I desire this. It's totally okay that I desire this. I would love to do that. It's totally okay that I would love to do that. So listen to yourself and see how much it changes. How easy it is to hold your opinion back when it's not appropriate to share. Have you ever had that? Like people are like, I didn't ask your opinion. There are those who go, well, I'm just going to say it like it is. I'm going to be real. And I'm just going to, and like nobody asks for their opinion. And then they feel all frustrated that nobody cares about what they're saying and all that, right? There are times where it's not appropriate to share your opinion. It's appropriate to sit and listen. Be aware of other people. And it's really appropriate at other times to share what your thoughts are with absolutely no need for anybody to validate it. You ever been around people that are very secure in themselves because they know what they think? They know what they feel. They know what they love. So that is my offering and work for you guys today is to give yourself permission. Say right now, I have permission to know what I think. I have permission to be aware of what I feel. I have permission to be aware of what I love. That will change everything. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.